now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
So she plans to walk in line and get her diploma next month. She's going to do a show in Houston December 3rd. Then graduation is December 11th. And then the graduation party, she goes to TSU. So good for her. She got in a medical field. She's getting her degree. Good for Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, I think you got to have something to fall back on. And also you have those accomplishments you want to do yourself.
Also, classmates. Look at that. Like,
right?
Score. Megan Thee Stallion is in your class.
And
your
she's
graduating class.
She's gonna be part of the reunion, so maybe she'll perform.
Ooh.
She'll sign your yearbook. She automatically get an autograph.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's a bachelor degree in health administration. Good for her. And that's your Dirty on the 30.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning. Good morning. I feel like you did the Dirty and the 30 early today.
Well, we're doing a little radio magic for your viewers today. We are pre-recording a Dirty on the 30 so that we can accommodate a Miss World interview during the time that we would normally be on the air, and then we will play that back at 8:15.
It's all magic.
It is sometimes.
I know. I got you. Love it.
Do a little magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Technology got me looking pretty too.
Yeah. Well, we can't see you right now.
Technology.
I know. I'm about to flip it on. Just doing some back end stuff myself.
All right. Well, stand by. We're coming to you live.
All right. I'm gonna mute that song so that I don't get blocked again. Oh Lord, it's the considerations are real. When you got to think about all the stuff you got to do when you're on Facebook and YouTube, and you got to be careful with music, especially. Let me tell you.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
There we are.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes, I was just explaining to people that I had to momentarily block you so that I don't get in trouble on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes.
we will stop doing that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's easy. It's very easy to forget, actually. So
sending music down the line.
Yeah.
So clearly your steel pan music is not copyrighted then.
No, apparently not. Facebook could care less about the national song.
Oh. All right. What's up on a Friday?
Happy Friday, first of all, TGIF.
Yeah.
Well, we've got lots of interesting police blotter news that came out sort of late yesterday.
What happened yesterday at Hurley's around back by the dumpster? There were
some police action. Yes.
There was some police action. There were the firearms response unit. I believe it was on CMR. They were searching a vehicle.
Yeah.
What was going down? It was right by my house. You can see all the action from my house.
Yeah, well, they haven't said yet. So we're still waiting on official confirmation of what that was. So we don't actually know. We just know that they were searching a vehicle. Of course, we always assume that's probably drugs or ammunition or something that they're interested in. But yeah, sometimes we just put it out there and then we wait and see what the officials will say. So that's one of those stories that unfortunately we don't have a lot of details on.
Yeah, it's in the Hurley's parking lot, kind of on that stretch,
like by Salty's
where
area.
you would drive back by Salty's or the state park. Yeah. So there's a little cove in there where the dumpster is when you drive by it for all the businesses there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Back parking. Yeah. The loading area.
Yeah, the loading area. They were right in there.
Wow.
Yes.
It's going down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we don't know what was going on.
And one of our CMR folks, we've got roving reporters. They caught it. So very interesting. All right. So COVID updates. We've got 126 new positive cases. And that's out of 1,115 PCR tests conducted in the past 24 hours. Now, I'm wondering, because I've got people, this is kind of peculiar, Blake and Aaron, I don't know if you know this, but there are people who, as of yesterday, were still waiting on results from Monday. So I'm wondering, the reporting numbers, people who are still waiting on their results, does that mean that they're reporting the results, but those people just haven't been notified?
Have they been checking their junk email?
I don't know. They've been calling and checking email, and they're saying that
it's a great question.
They haven't received it. So
My mother-in-law had to go and get a COVID test on Wednesday because she's having surgery today. And last night I was like, just checking in on her. So she's at the hospital right now, but I was like, you get your results? She's like, no, but they called and they said, don't worry about it. We'll sort it out. I'm like, okay. So I'm assuming they're talking at least.
Well, they definitely won't let her on the ward and in the surgery theater unless she's got her results. So
totally. But
she'll be a priority category to find out.
Exactly. She's double vaxxed with a booster. So
So hospitalizations are up to 11 patients now hospitalized, 2 receiving supplemental oxygen. Someone was telling me that one of those might be a prisoner. So we're trying to confirm that from Her Majesty's Prison Service. And nobody on a ventilator as yet. And there are no COVID-related pediatric admissions. And everyone who's hospitalized is considered stable, obviously not needing any real serious assistance. And so everyone's just continuing to watch those numbers. Sure. We've reached 80% vaccination level of the 1 dose and 77% at 2 doses.
So what happens if we get to 80% of 2 doses? Do they finally say, okay, everything's dropped?
We have a big party? No, I mean, the objective.
That was the dildo back then?
Yeah. By the way, I was just thinking if I were a prisoner and I had COVID, I would absolutely pretend that I was sicker than I was just so I could go hang out in the hospital and get 3 meals a day and watch TV.
You're assuming that the hospital is better than prison.
Yeah,
I was gonna say watch TV. What?
Well, I would hope so.
I don't know, Blake. I don't know.
I would hope the rooms are better than the prison cell. Anyway,
probably not. I mean, you're gonna be confined to like a bed, and you can't really move that much. And
they also feed you at prison. You know that, right?
They do, but
I've seen better at prison
there, and they just slop it on the tray. Move along.
Yes, because
everything. No, I don't think you've been to prison here yet, Blake. We need to arrange for you to visit.
I have not actually. I've been.
I've been on the ground.
I go there a lot because our transmitters are right there inside the prison, but never actually.
They have a lot more freedoms than probably a patient in the hospital, I would think.
Well, I'm aware. They've got a garden. I'll drive in and there's a guy gardening. They're always very nice.
What's the bad thing with a prisoner gardening? That's a good thing.
I'm just saying they walk. They're free. The gate's open. He could,
for low risk. Yeah, low risk prisoners.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called rehabilitation. That's what prisons should be about.
I agree.
In police news, unfortunately, we've got a situation at the Francis Bodden Children's Home where a young lady has been sexually assaulted.
It's terrible.
That's going to be a big topic of discussion for us this morning. We have booster shots now available for more frontline workers. So this would include like police and teachers, so all schools, the RCIPS, the fire service, prison, border control. So all of those individuals, basically uniformed services and teachers are now eligible for their booster vaccination. So if you're in that category, please, do what you got to do if it's been 6 months since your second shot. And a man has been charged. Remember the guy who was kind of MIA on the loose? He turned himself in last week, and now he's been formally charged with possession of an unlawful, unlicensed, firearm. Okay. So that's not a good thing.
Well, at least.
Yeah, he's pretty young. He's only 22 years old, which is really sad. But police confirmed the armed robbery on the beach that we discussed yesterday morning, because I know that we kind of just did it as a, as a reveal on this program. Yep. But yes, they have now indicated that they're actually looking for a male and female in relation to an attempted armed robbery that took place in the early morning hours, right before 2:00 Thursday morning. So 3 people were robbed at knife point by 2 suspects on 7 Mile Beach. Crazy.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All righty. Well,
yes.
Fun.
Very crazy.
All right. Any big plans for the weekend?
Last night we went to the Miss Lassie opening.
Yeah. It looks nice.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was super fun, and we're gonna share some of the footage from that last night on the show today. Really nice. I mean, she was, she started painting at like 64, which is so incredibly unusual. But it seemed to have been tied into like her life story. So the theme for this is in line with that. So it was just really nice to be able to attend the exhibit and see some of her work. I've heard about Miss Lassie, but to be honest, I couldn't recall if I'd actually seen any of her work. And so last night I got to see a number of pieces that are on display, and it's really beautiful and interesting, because she did a lot of religious, like most of these pieces last night all had a religious theme. So it was for me a bit of a like, wow, she was very, I think she was searching, at that point in her life for answers about a number of things that had transpired. And so she was turning to religion for that. And so everything she painted was about trying to find salvation. And, her view of maybe like what happened in the early days of the biblical story of Adam and Eve and stuff like that. So it is very, very interesting.
That's cool.
And I think it, for me, I kind of walked away going, you know what? It's never too late in life to do anything, as long as you've got your health and you've got life.
Sandy.
There's a couple people that in their 80s and 60s yesterday that I read about that got their degrees.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
All right, Andy or Sandy, it is Old School Fridays. And what's the song you have for us?
Okay, 1985. How about We Are the World?
I thought it would be this one. I thought you'd pick this one.
You better play it for only less than 20. Put it down.
Axel F.
Oh man, I actually loved that song.
Beverly Hills Cop.
That's I was gonna go with We Are the World today.
All right, so we're gonna play that coming up though.
Yeah, that's awesome. A good one. We'll play that coming up for sure.
Catch CMR live now on Facebook and YouTube, and have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, CMR brought to you exclusive.
All right, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Welcome, one, and welcome all. We've got Miss Sonia. We've got Miss Charlene. Diamond Princess says it's Friday. Yes, indeed. Olivia's here. Charlene says Meta released that video yet? Which video are we looking for? Evelyn, Wee Wee, Larry, good morning. Happy Friday. 39 degrees in the Bronx. Woohoo! Felicia's here. 39 is nice and cold. Charlene says, Sandra, I love the instrumental version. Thank you very, very much. This morning, my daughter's home a little bit later than usual, and she heard it playing, and she started singing it. She's like, I love the national song. I'm so excited that at 5, she is so invested in the national song. Like, she did learn it as part of her school. I think they sung it for like the Christmas play last year and stuff. And she just was obsessed with it for like a couple months. Like, she would just randomly start singing it. And at first, when she was learning it, she'd miss a couple words, or she'd get a couple words like wrong. Like, she wasn't really pronouncing what they were, but she was still going through it. And I love that. Good morning, Delmy. She says she went in Tuesday and they told her 72 hours. Well, by my calculations, if you were tested on Monday and it was Thursday, that's more than 72 hours, isn't it? Well, I guess that's on the cusp of 72 hours. Miss Joy, good morning. 45 degrees in Richmond. Whoa, getting cold in the US of A. Virtuous Panuka's here. Miss Judy's here. Happy Friday. Miss Ramelia's here. Catherine got it locked. Miss Beulah, I haven't seen you in a minute, so lovely to see you. Miss Ramelia says, it's my understanding that this sexual assault has been happening for years. They were told to put up cameras and were ignored. Well, let us talk about that, because as you guys know, the Francis Bodden home is a real pain in my, they're pain in my behind, really, because I think that there are some serious issues happening at that facility, and we, the people, keep ignoring it. Well, not me, but the people keep ignoring it. And the government, I think, needs to do something like dissolve the entire board, put in a new board, get rid of some staff at the home, and really address this issue, because it is a very dangerous issue. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in what is happening there. So let's talk about it. Now, I know that Sherry Ann yesterday had requested some information on the WhatsApp to show her how to use WhatsApp. And I saw an update this morning that reminded me that we wanted to make sure that I did say We weren't going to make it a full Tech Thursday, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm just mindful of the time because I do have this Miss Lassie video that's about, let me tell you how much time it is, that I do want to play. It is, let me see now, where is my Miss Lassie video? I think it's almost 50 minutes long, so I need to give that enough time to play. I'm super excited about playing that for you guys so you can see what happened last night. It is let me see now. Sort by name. Okay, I'm not seeing it here, but I think it is about 45 minutes or so. All right, so we'll get that up for you guys in a bit. So, wow, she was a prolific painter. It's very, very interesting what I saw last night for sure. All right, so I will get that all queued up here in a bit and show you guys that. Okay, so let's talk about the Francis Bodden Children's Home. I think it used to be called the Girls' Home, and then they changed the name to the Children's Home because apparently there's some younger boys and stuff there as well. So you can have both boys and girls at the Children's Home. Listen, the Francis Bodden Home has been on my radar for quite some time, and we have done a number of shows on it. And we've done a number of stories on it. And we've talked about it, I feel like ad nauseum at this point. And the previous government never addressed it and never really did anything about it. At some point, they claimed that there was some investigation going on at the prison. We never heard a single word. Why is it that government will placate the people with, oh, we're going to carry out an investigation? When I say government, I'm talking about the civil servants, really. They're the arm that, oh, yeah, we're going to carry out an investigation. And then we never hear anything further. And the political arm, I'm going to hold them wholly responsible as well, because they need to be going back to, the civil servants and say, oh, yes, remember you claimed that you were going to be holding this investigation. What has happened? We would like to know. And here we are. Let me go back to the original story so that we can be very clear about this, when this was. Here we are, all these, has it been years? So this was 2019. Oh my God, look at the time. The timing is ironic, right? Almost 2 years ago, am I right? 2019, 2021, yes. Almost 2 years ago to the date, we did a big expose. I'm going to bring it up here for y'all to see on the home, and we are still waiting for results of that investigation, which has completely gone quiet. Y'all need to explain to me why this continues to happen. Lavana is checking in. Good morning to Louis. Scott is here. Morning, Jake. Miss Darlene locked in from the UK. Daphne, is that you from the UK, girl? Good morning. How are you? Melita's here. Miss Darlene says 2 degrees Celsius in my neck of the woods. It may snow this weekend, the weatherman says. What? Snow already? Well, I guess it is November. Whoa. So to say that I'm disappointed to see yet another unfavorable story in the news about the K's Foundation, the girls' home, the boys' home. Really? How many screw-ups are we going to continue to have? One child has already drowned at the boys' home. No accountability whatsoever. To be fair to the workers who really were not the ones that should have been on trial. It should have been Mr. Sidney, who has now passed on, who's now died. It should have been him, and some upper management people need to be held accountable for the death of that little boy, Roscoe. That still is ongoing. I'm sure no one has approached his family with even a decent settlement to say, you know what, we screwed up, we've done wrong. Let's try to rectify this situation. Instead, they're going to make that poor family try to find money to sue the government to convince them to pay for wrongful death. Y'all need to get it together now. And after we brought out this story, well, they claimed that it was under investigation. The whistleblower was placed on leave. Only God knows whatever happened to them. And it's just a continual mess. This talked about management failings, fraternization, questionable backgrounds. you know, alleged nepotism, people, their wives and husbands and boyfriends and girlfriends and people who shouldn't be having relations together in terms of the management and, you know, staff at this facility. They were all in this hot mess of a situation. Folks, it's a very long story, but y'all need to read it. Boy and a girl getting inside the car of a worker. None of this should ever be happening. You know, one girl being given preferential treatment because of who she was. Oh my goodness. When is the madness, folks, going to stop? It has got to stop. I mean, I, for one, am incredibly sick and tired of it. And here we are now with a sexual assault situation on hand. So this is, I'm going to tell you all the true story of what's going on here. So this young lady is underage. She's 14 years old. But of course, I suppose most 14-year-olds think that they know the lay of the land. They know the world. They know, you know, they're so smart. They're so this. And she knows nothing about life yet. Hanging out with, I understand, a 20-something-year-old man. Now, he might think he's 14 in his head. But if you're over the age of 16, you're going to go to jail. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. So she's been hanging out with him, sneaking around. And he had the audacity, listen to this now, to actually sneak into the facility. Like Spider-Man, climbing up a wall, jumping on top of boxes, AC units, whatever, to get up to the second story. And all of a sudden, now you know this is where the staff is asleep at the wheels. All of a sudden, she's requesting, oh, can I clean this area upstairs? The staff's like, oh, you want to clean now? Never wanted to clean before, but you want to clean now? Great. Letting her clean up there unsupervised. They go back downstairs and God knows doing what exactly. What kind of people do we have working at the Francis Bodden School? What kind of management do we have? I mean, for heaven's sake, y'all help me out here with this one. I've only got a 5-year-old. But I was once a teenager. Mind you, I never dared try this stuff for Aunt Lottie because she would skin you alive in a real way, right? I was scared to death. But, you know, we all tried stuff. We all snuck, you know, whatever. It definitely wasn't a man. It wasn't sneaking no man up in my house. But, you know, maybe it was that piece of chocolate you knew you weren't supposed to be eating and you're going to get in a lot of trouble for it. I'm just thinking, do these people not have any experience at all to know when something's amiss? Like all of a sudden you have a young lady who's like, oh, I want to do cleaning up here. And you're going to just be like, oh, perfect. And we're just going to leave you alone. Well, why would you leave a child unsupervised in a girl's home? That's my first question. How does that work exactly? I'd be like, great. You want to clean here? Wonderful. Let me pull up my little chair and get out my book. I'll be sitting here looking at you in between chapters, putting down my glasses and making sure you're not missing any corners. Honey, sweep over here in this corner since you're so into cleaning. But she was trying to be smart, and evidently the 14-year-old is smarter than the staff, and she's able to hoodwink the staff who don't seem to have a clue in terms of what's going on. I am just flabbergasted. I have heard the children complain about, you know, what's going on there, how they're being treated, everything from how the staff is mistreating them, how they're receiving or not receiving their medication. It's just a hot mess. And I'm just sitting here scratching my head, wondering what is it going to take for this government? I don't know who the chief officer is. I don't even know whose ministry this falls under now, right? The previous government ignored it. They did nothing for 8 years. And the situation is only getting worse. What is it going to take? Is somebody going to have to be killed like what happened at the prison? Remember how there was so much foolishness going on at the prison, and it wasn't until that poor young lady lost her life at the hands of a prisoner at the prison farm that then they go, oh, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. But I'm telling you all, CMR has known since 2018, reporting in it in 2019 that y'all have a problem. November the 25th, this story dropped. And everything on here about even staff having alcohol on premises in the storeroom, which means that somebody should have been fired because they have a very strict no alcohol on the premises whatsoever rule. We had video footage of rum, bottles of liquor being on the premises. Allegations of staff themselves engaging and indulging in sexual behavior in the storeroom that the children seem to know about. Children being either bribed or threatened that if they talk to the media, if they talk to us, or they talk to anybody about what's happening there, something's going to happen to them. Is anybody paying attention? This is a serious question that I have here this morning. Is anyone paying attention to what is happening at the Francis Bodden home? Right? Let me show you guys the actual footage of the alcohol in case y'all missed it. There have been no consequences to date for anyone involved in this situation. In fact, an employee made a comment to a staff member. An employee made a comment to one of the young girls about her private parts. And what has happened? Nothing. Oh, well, I didn't mean it that way. Yes, I use the term pum pum, but I never meant it so. Really? So you're hiring people who are uneducated, who are uncouth, who don't know how to speak to young girls, none at all. And they don't know anything, about counseling, dealing with children. You're bringing people in who work they have one guy there, not for nothing, but I want y'all to listen to this one. They have a former prison officer there who the prison let go. Hear this joke now. The prison let go because of the situation with the young lady I was just telling you about, poor Sabrina, who got murdered. So he was supposed to be watching that whole situation, didn't do that job. Jamaican officer, they let him go there. And then the Francis Bodden home hires him. Please have this make sense to me. He's already failed in an area of responsibility, cost somebody their life. And your solution to that is to give him a job where he has to now be responsible for the lives of children? What? Is this a joke? Everybody's asleep at the wheel, I feel like. What's going on here? This is unacceptable behavior. Alcohol in the premises. But I've heard they're going to kick up a stink when staff take an energy drink to the home. All right. I'm perplexed and I'm confused. So this guy is crawling through a window, having sexual relations with a child in their care. Now, here is the $1 million question. Successive governments have spent a lot of money on a lot of things. God knows. Boardwalks that we probably never needed. Events patting themselves on the back. Creating jobs for their political allies. And still have them in jobs even now and I'm confused about what they do. Alfonso, I'm talking to you, friend. So they will make government top heavy, right? With all these overpaid positions. And I'm thinking, okay, Alfonso's like special projects supervisor, coordinator, making a nice, beautiful salary. But doesn't he do what the protocol department should be doing in terms of these official events? But, the last government wanted him to have a job. So they created this thing for him. And in fact, they just make up and create events to make sure he has something to do. Another way to spend the money of the people. But y'all not paying attention to none of that. I noticed with interest how you want to lambast this government over everything. Oh, the premier wasn't wearing a mask at an event in the UK. You don't even know what the protocols were for that event, the organizers and what they were doing and what they were requiring people to do. But that's what's important. The fact that governments have been wasting your time and had no plan at all, even as it relates to COVID, y'all not criticizing that. You're so hyper focused on the negativity in this moment of stuff that's like, come again? We need to have a come to Jesus moment about this Francis Bodden home. I've heard some stories about this Miss Denise. Now, I don't know who the hell Denise is. But from the stories that I've heard, former residents, current residents, Miss Denise needs to find something else to do. They don't want to hire Caymanian staff, by the way. Now, I was thinking about this. You've got troubled children who are Caymanian children. They need to see good examples, role models of other Caymanians in that environment who they can esteem to be like, oh, I can relate to this person. This person's at Georgetown, or they from West Bay, whatever. They've done something positive with their lives. There's hope for me. I must say that it's very interesting that we can't seem to hire and keep and retain any Caymanians at that facility. And we have to import all the workers practically, some of them with no qualifications whatsoever. There's one lady there who's like a beautician. I think she was doing hairs and nails before getting this job that required counseling and all sorts of stuff on paper, none of which she had. But somehow she still got hired because she must be friends with Miss Denise. We're going to be telling the truth here this morning, folks. Miss Romelia says, how would that look if a child in their care comes out pregnant? God forbid. Pregnant? That's horrible. But essentially, this child, let's not just think about the end result of being pregnant. A man, an adult male, has been having sexual relations with her in the frigging girl's home, in the Francis Bodden children's home. What's the point? You might as well make her be home in whatever environment she was coming from, where they probably had no control over her anyway. This is despicable. And heads should roll for this sort of thing. Oh, I see it coming already. Oh, we're going to launch another investigation into this. The police have it. The MASH unit have it. Oh, let's just let them deal with it. It's a police matter. No. This isn't just a police matter. Yes, it's a police matter. But it's not just a police matter. This is a failure of governments. Right? Because nobody's holding anyone accountable. And so their failures are putting our children at risk time and time again. When are the people going to say enough is enough? These are already high-risk children. This is a thing that I don't get. They are already high-risk children. And to be quite frank, you're taking high-risk children and exposing them to other high-risk situations. Every time a child runs away, y'all know they be hiding it, right? We finds out, but they be trying to hide it. Days later, you hear, oh, this child is missing. Why did we know 3-4 days later? Because they were trying to hide it. That's why. They didn't want CMR to put it up that another child in the care of the Francis Bodden home has gone missing yet again. How is it that these 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls seem to always be able to hoodwink the managers and staff at the Francis Bodden home and always running away? A lot of you have been questioning, what are they running from? Or what are they running to might be the better question. There needs to be some serious reform at that institution, because what is happening there right now just isn't cutting it. That place should be a place of solace for these troubled teens, where they can get therapy, have group and private sessions, and be in an environment that is conducive to their mental health. From every single thing that I've heard, that isn't what's happening. Miss Darlene says that our children deserve better. You better believe they deserve better. And every single one of us should be demanding. This is what y'all need to be protesting about, Katina, and the rest of you out there talking about you protesting for pro-choice. How about you go to the Francis Bodden home and protest the treatment of these children, who, by the way, in a couple years are going to be unleashed on this community. And they're the ones who are going to be giving us the most trouble. I hate to tell you, the reality of the situation is that's the kind of high risk they are. They're the ones who are likely to end up in jail. They're the ones who are likely to be part of the gangbanging community. You see, these are the tougher issues that a lot of people, we're just too scared to touch it. We don't want to talk about it. If we can't even have effective programs in these group homes, what hope do we really have for these children? Their next stop is going to be Fairbanks and northward. That's it. And mind you, there are children in the homes who should not be there, commingling with some problematic children. So there's not even a facility, because some children are removed for their own protection because they were in abusive homes. They're being sexually abused, psychologically abused and abandoned. They take those same children and mix them in a group home with children who are acting out, who are misbehaving, who are doing all this sort of stuff. Now. Again, common sense would dictate that those two groups do not belong in the same environment or in the same home. But common sense seems to be woefully lacking as it relates to the management and running of the group home. Who's even the head of the Case Foundation now? I don't even know. Since Mr. Sidney left, have they replaced him yet? This ministry has got to do better. Daphne says, Charlene, I agree, because most of them employed through friends knowing friends. Yes. Too much friend business going on there. I told you, if you go back to that article, right? There was a couple husband and wife teams working together. After the article came out, then some of them got split up. And I think one went to the boys' home, still falling under Kay's Foundation, mind you. Boyfriend and girlfriend, too much fraternization going on. This one sleeping with that one. So they getting promotions and favors. Lots of nepotism. Even this guy, what's his name? May he rest in peace. Sidney Williams hired his own wife, making $3,100 a month to sit down so they could together have a combined income of $10,000 and build a retirement home and live the good life. Nobody paying attention. Husband and wife teams, the same Denise. Denise, where you at? The manager at the Francis Bodden home. Her husband, O'Neill Watson, worked as a line staff employee at Bonaventure. Is Tamara still there? Senior counsel at Francis Bodden. Her husband also worked at Francis Bodden under her as a team leader. No, what? 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 How does this make any sense? He was at this time recently promoted and transferred to Bonaventure. So your own wife is your supervisor at work. I cannot make this stuff up. Wow. And one of these same spouses I'm talking about, he was the one who was fired from Her Majesty's prison after Sabrina was murdered on a prison farm back in 2019. So he was in charge that day of supervising the prison inmates on the date of the murder. Then he gets hired as a youth support worker and he's promoted to team leader. Mind you, all this time now, there are Caymanians who are applying for jobs there, who are qualified and not getting an opportunity to work with these troubled teens. It was so bad that when CMR started digging into it, when we went to the website for the Francis Bodden home, they had not even bothered to update the website. They'd used some template and the template was still. Let me see if they bothered to fix that since. Let's have a quick look. This was Kay's Foundation website. Yep, the website had not even been completed at the time. Getting all kind of money from government to do all sorts of stuff, and yet you can't even complete a website. Getting donations from private sector, right? Sometimes to treat the young ladies, or the children in the home, different restaurants would volunteer and donate food. And then Mr. Sidney Williams was sitting down there ordering lobster dinners for himself, not for the residents, taking advantage of the food that was being provided to him. Looked like they finally fixed the website after we told them about it. Good. Somebody listening, somebody paying attention a little bit. It's just despicable when I see stuff like this. Because that means that there's no degree of accountability that is happening within these organizations. And God knows that website must have been like that for years. Ms. Sue says there shouldn't be mixed teens living together. They're promiscuous. They need good guidance, for God's sake. So it's not, I don't think that the boys in the home are teens. They're like younger boys. But I do believe that they're in a slightly different area than the girls. But I also agree with you, Ms. Sue, there should be a completely separate facility. Now, like I said, government can find money for certain things. This is where you have to prioritize and look at what sort of environment your children are actually in. Because you're impacting these children in a real and meaningful way. Ms. Charlene says, bingo. That needs to stop all over employment in our island, but specifically in facilities such as homes that we speak of, and even in the female prison. I'm going to have to agree with Melita. For a lot of them, it is about the paycheck. It has to be, based on the results that I'm seeing. So this incident now on Tuesday, this guy goes into the facility. He was there already because they found footprints and all sorts of evidence. But he didn't have enough. He was returning. Now, he needs to be flogged. If flogging was still a thing, he should be taken to the town hall and flogged in the most meaningful way. Romario Brown is his name. Somebody need to get a hold of him and just, but we can't do that stuff anymore. So he needs to go to jail. Let's stick with what is permitted by law. By law, Romario Brown needs to go to jail. And you know how we have minimum sentences for gun offenses? I'm still here pleading for somebody to listen to me when it comes to child sexual assault of any kind, and I don't care what you call it, whether it's statutory rape, whether it's forcible rape, whether it is indecent assault, whatever you want to call it, we need to have some minimum sentences. Somebody like him needs to go to jail for at least 7 years of his life. While he's there, give him all the therapy in the world that he can get. Because if he doesn't understand why he's a 20-something-year-old man, he shouldn't be fooling with a 14-year-old girl. Something wrong with him. But again, everybody seems to be missing some of these key messages. Because remember when the video came out a couple months back with the kids at the high school, and they were going on and on and on and on talking about, what they're doing, their sexual conquests, their sexual escapades or whatever. And one little boy says, "Oh, from the time she's 9, she's mine." Whose child was that? Whose child was that? And what kind of professional help this boy is now getting? That's what I want to know. Because if he's not in some serious therapy, and if his parents didn't look at that video and haul him in to say, "Oh, what the hell do you know about a 9-year-old?" If that was my child, oh my God, I would be besides myself. And I don't care if he was joking. That is not something that you joke about. That shows there's something not quite right with him in his head. And that needs to be addressed. Good morning, Nikki. Deep Blue Sea says the most you will get from the chief officer in this matter will be some well-prepared soundbite. Most of the staff at these facilities are expatriates and they don't hold their breath for change. So don't hold your breath for change. Well, this is unfortunate. Because Deep Blue Sea change is precisely what we need. Why are we putting at-risk children at even greater risk? Please tell me, explain this to me, because this makes no sense. I agree that some of the children are being manipulated, threatened, and intimidated because they have told me themselves. They're like, "Miss Sandy, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you what's going on, but, we've been warned. Miss Denise is saying X. Miss Denise is saying Y. We're going to remember when the child tried to commit suicide there at the school? We reported on that as well. Sorry. Tried hanging themselves with a bed sheet. And y'all don't think that there's something going on at this home? Folks, please participate in the census. The census is collecting important information. Everybody is complaining about the cost of living. How are you going to know how many people are even at minimum wage if you don't participate in the census, and if the Economics and Statistics Office is not able to collect that data? Somebody was saying this to me yesterday. They're like, "Oh, we need to do better at minimum wage." And I said, "But do you know how many people actually get paid minimum wage?" That's why one of the questions they ask you is, "How much money do you make?" Because they want to try to figure that out. What percentage of the population is at minimum wage, at this level, at that level? Because y'all keep talking about minimum wage as though the majority of people are working at minimum wage, and that probably isn't the truth. So participate in the census, folks. That information is important information to collate and to figure out different trends that are happening on our little islands that then can govern and dictate the policies and decisions that politicians make.
Beginning the 10th of October, residents across the Cayman Islands will be invited to participate in the 2021 census. What is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the Cayman Islands. The population count and data are protected and authorized by the Statistics Act. The information is confidential and cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Your response helps guide business, social, and economic planning for the future of our islands. The 2021 census will inform decisions on how millions of dollars are allocated for roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire, emergency response services, and other programs. Census enumerators will visit your household, ask a few questions like how many people live in your house, including their age and sex. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So have your say in the 2021 census.
So Miss Darlene says get someone like Miss Wiltz or Mr. Miles in that place. Well, as you guys recall, we talked about this, but Sylvia Wiltz had actually applied for a job there where she was overqualified for the position. And guess what? She didn't get the job. Maybe that was the one that the nail tech got. I can't even remember. Educational programs, Maria. A lot of the girls do go to school, so they're integrated into the regular schools, but I don't know. Jose says maybe they need to shut it down completely. Yep, for years it has been going on. Fired, trust me, more than one person. And I agree with Deep Blue Sea that there's some people who are definitely asleep at the wheel. He says this country is an ATM at the moment, not caring about the future. And we can't live our lives in that way. What's going to happen now? An investigation will be carried out. We probably will or will not hear anything about it. I will certainly keep an eye on the court records to see what comes of this young man, because I do now know who he is. Good morning to Peter. Takia says, I totally agree. Any company that does not have not even one Caymanian needs to get looked into. This is, there's too many companies on the island that do not even have one Cayman. And the joke about this is a government agency. This is government. Kay's Foundation is run and operated by the government of the Cayman Islands. So it's concerning. It is rape. They keep trying to, in this jurisdiction, oh, it's sexual assault. They placate it and make it sound like, oh, it's not a big deal. So apparently he went back again, like I said, for a second time, and another resident, he was knocking on the window and they were like, oh, there's somebody outside that I'm sure shouldn't be here. Now, here's the number one question I have about the situation. Where are the security cameras? How can this man be having access to actually have sex with this child, rape her in your government facility, and you don't know? Y'all need to tighten your shit up. At my house, I've got Fort Knox going on here. Somebody walks on my lawn, I get an alert on my phone. Front left, and it be the damn chicken that be on the lawn, but I still know. There are cameras that you can have installed, and don't be coming up now with some big $1,000,000 excuse to spend money. You can do it in an economical way. The technology is there, and you can have the manager's phones being alerted every single time there is motion in particular zones. What if this was a man who wanted to kidnap this child the same way he got in and got out? She could have gotten in and gotten out as well. What if he wanted to do more than rape her? He wanted to kidnap her and then kill her. Or heaven forbid, when he's doing whatever with her, he gets rough and chokes her to death, and then you find a girl just dead wherever it is that they were having sex. What would the girls home? What would the headlines be this morning? How shocked would you all be to hear such a thing? They need to get it together. They tidy up. They hide their dirt when they hear people coming from the ministry. Oh, the ministry called to say they're going to visit. Why y'all calling to say you're visiting in any event? You ever heard of something called a spot check? Where you just show up unannounced? How many people in the ministry are speaking to these young girls, having discussions with them without a single member of the staff at Francis Bodden or Bonaventure being present? How do you know what's going on in this facility? Oh, you're going to take Denise's advice or her recommendation, her reports. She's going to tell you what's going on when there are clear management failures there. Now, y'all need to tell me what sense does that make? You know, in other jurisdictions, they actually will send people in undercover to stay there and then to give reports on what they see and observe and what's going on. Now, because it's a child's home, that's a little bit difficult because most children, you don't want to put in that position, especially in a jurisdiction this small. But there are other ways to figure out and to find out what is going on. So for the world of me, I cannot understand, right, why there are no cameras at this facility. What else has been going on there that we don't even know about? You see, now, this should be a priority for that ministry. By next month, I should be getting reports that cameras have been installed. Because anything happens to this child, you all are responsible for. Romelia mentioned pregnancy. That's not her only concern. Who knows what this guy is out there doing? He could give her an STD. She could get AIDS. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And she does not understand the dangers of the behavior that she's engaging in. Now y'all know how this can go, right? Here's how it's going to go. She isn't going to be a cooperating witness. He's probably not going to admit to doing anything. And unless they actually saw someone there, like somebody was witnessing what she was doing with him who could provide eyewitness accounts, then they're going to say, well, this case falls apart because nobody's not talking. No, it falls apart because you don't even have any video evidence to say, well, we see you going in the home. We know that this is you. Here's your footprint. Here are your fingerprints on the windowsill. Now, I don't know what kind of police investigation is going on here, but might I suggest that they try to make this case as airtight as possible so that when they send it to the DPP's office, they can actually have a case. Because this dude needs to be locked up. He's a sick, very sick young man. Why would you, of all the places in the world, need to be accessing a 14-year-old child locked up in a girl's home? Any 14-year-old child, but particularly an extra vulnerable 14-year-old child who's locked up in a girl's home. You need to be under the prison if truth be known. When you go up there, they need to slap you around a little bit. South Marjorie says to seek an interview with Miss Denise. I assume she's only one person. She doesn't make final decisions. These places take a team. It's a shift. She can't be there 24/7. Well, I mean, I'm happy to interview her because I got a lot of questions for her. And the board is ultimately, I think, who should be held responsible. Right? So if the board is held responsible, that would mean they need to get rid of all of them as well. So I don't know how much power Denise has got, but I have heard that she is left to her own in terms of making the decisions that she makes. Now, I don't work there, so all I can tell you is what comes to me by way of information. If Miss Denise has a different story, obviously she's been able to keep her job, so she must be telling the board something that makes them happy. But it looks like these board members are very easy to be hoodwinked. That's how Sidney was doing it. All he was doing was going to church with the board of directors and pretending to be a good Christian man. Meanwhile, he was having relations with employees under his watch and promoting them because of those special relationships. But, because I'm going to jump up and go to church with you on Sunday, it was okay. Oh, come on, Denise, come on the show. We got plenty of questions to entertain you with. Jasara says they need Miss Sylvia Wills back in that place. She's not going to play with them. She was there when I was there, and we were in good hands. So thankful for her. Nope, they wouldn't hire her the other day when she applied, Joe. Told her she was overqualified or some foolishness. Melita says they need women in there that acted like sitting hens with their own, well-loved and protected. Yeah, they got people there who don't care nothing about children. They don't know how, that's a problem. They don't know anything about children. They've not been trained to even look for the signs of problems. They're reactive. Once it happens, then it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? Mr. Amelia, yeah, but he ended up getting off in Jamaica, so you know how that goes. So thank you, Jasara. Clarifies that yes, there are different types of orders, but one of the main concerns I have is the commingling of those different types of orders in this facility. To be honest, oh Lord, Devin. The other day I was looking at the glass house going, what are we going to do about this building? Well, now not the time because the government not got no money after COVID. Y'all can believe that if you want. But let me assure you that they don't. And y'all going to get everybody's like, oh, let's stay locked down forever. Y'all sit there. If you know the economic trying times that are ahead. Aliana says, what do we expect from a kick the ball down the road mindset society? We import poor people of social quality and get mad the product is lacking. Yes, I agree. We're not hiring qualified people. They're coming here with criminal records themselves. Yes, and Carol, thank you. And I sit here myself shaking my head at why to this day we still have no sexual offenders registry. Not a single one. Nobody's named. Eventually the AG came to the conclusion that one is needed. Remember? But we don't know how to do it without potentially harming the victims. I'm like, okay, y'all act like Cayman's the only place in the world who'd be considering a sex offenders registry. You don't know how to do it? What's the problem exactly? Yeah, that too. Thank you, Damien. He says it's trickle-down effect from years when Caymanians didn't get opportunities or promoted in all sectors. Now we have another nationality coming up to replace another with the same friends and family recommendations. Who is not of sound mind? This young man? I don't get what? He's of sound mind enough to want to get sex? Not of sound mind? Have him sorted out at Northwood, please. Folks, big shout out to Reliable Industries. You can get all of your COVID supplies from them, folks. They have the largest supply of Purell products. And folks, please don't forget that you can also purchase the professional electrostatic sanitizing machine from them as well. have some WhatsApp comments coming in. So this one says, when you have a board of director covering for Denise and Jennifer, I don't know who the hell Jennifer is, it's sad that they need to change those board members for K's. Caymanian staff is being pushed to the side. That's why the Caymanians don't go and complain. It's always held over their head about a contract as a Caymanian. I don't think Caymanians should be on any work contract such as a part government-owned company. I'm not quite sure I understand the contract part, because isn't everybody on some sort of a contract? So somebody else says, wonder who on the board. This waste woman Denise is asleep. WTH. Oh, no. Who is this waste woman on the board is sleeping with? Oh, Lord. All these people could not get a similar job in their own countries, but here we are in the Cayman Islands taking other people's garbage. From the director straight down, needs to be fired on the spot, and they can send someone as a worker. No excuses. Another person says, so is it that K's Foundation had the same board members for the past 10 years? WTF? These people in here don't have time or don't give a damn. Another comment says, between us, or am I reading it on air? Okay, let me read it silently first. Oh. Okay. So someone is saying that one of the previous names mentioned may not be the best recommendation, although he's the Caymanian, because he kind of messed things up last time. What a mess. Disclose the voice? Are you trying to tell me to disclose the voice or to hide the voice? All right, so we got photos here. Y'all know how it goes. I don't think the person meant to say disclose the voice. They've sent me a voice note, and most people don't actually want voice notes played. So it probably meant to say maybe disguise the voice. I'm not going to play it out of an abundance of caution. So apparently this isn't the first allegation of men sneaking into the home. And still no cameras. So here we go. Let's look at the photos of how it's being done, and then we're going to switch gears here in a little bit. So look, yeah. Oh, look. There's a hole in the fence. Oh, geez, on peace. Are y'all kidding me? Really? There's no padlock and there's a hole in the fence and nobody not seeing the hole, or what? No, Jesus, take the wheel. What is wrong with you people? What? So he goes through that, just unlatches it and walks right through. What a mess. Okay. Wow. Then he proceeds. This is how he can climb up, y'all. I told you he's like a little Spider-Man, but see? Why? Common sense again needs to be ruling the day here. Why is that bench where it is? You mean to tell me those fools that working in this home don't see how that is positioned there for someone to get access to the window? Y'all not bright, you know. So he climbs up on the bench and then hops up on AC number 1, hops up on AC number 2, and he's almost there. I guess he's using that little ducking. I don't know if that's AC ducking or what that is, that pole, to get to the rest of the way up to the window. Wow. What a mess. Jasara says there weren't any cameras when I was there either. And one night some guy threw a rock through the double doors early one morning. And still no cameras after that? Jasara, I'm curious to know, when did you leave? Like, how long ago was this? Because it sounds like they've had more than ample time to put in cameras. Like I said, it only takes a month at most. Listen, if y'all need help in knowing what cameras to order, by all means, give me a shout. I'm more than happy to assist. It's not that difficult. Oh, thanks for clarifying that. Oh, I see. I see. So this person is saying that they used to be on the board at Case Foundation. They brought in Michael Miles back home from the USA and hired him as the Bonaventure Francis Bodden, at the Bonaventure Francis Bodden. And Frank McField screwed up the whole program. And then people resigned. Well, I will say nothing about that. What a mess. Jeez on peace. No, sir. Can't make this stuff up. Yes, Damien, I got those cameras. I know the light come on and it's recording in the cloud. So you're not gonna worry about somebody stealing the recorder. Listen, there is no excuse for this kind of slackness. I don't care what nobody say. I'm not being unfair to the workers there. There is just no excuse for this kind of slackness. This is ridiculous. Not a single camera. Wow. Jesus. I don't even understand this. Well, Richard says he's anxious to see what the new government will do about this. Me too. I'm very anxious. I know, Emma, trust me. I feel the same way, but because we're law-abiding citizens, we would want to then, give the process a chance to work. We can't just go around beating people up as much as we'd like to flog these child molesters. But trust me, something definitely needs to be done. This is despicable. Absolutely despicable. Unbelievable. Miss Maxine, good morning. She says, remember, they're not their kids and there's no more K-Mankind that was back in the day. Well, this isn't even about K-Mankind. This is about, Natasha wants to know who's on the board. Let's have a look and see. This is really about, people just simply doing their jobs. So let's see if they even have the board members up on the website. I kind of don't feel like it's on the website. Let me see. What we do, how we do it, not very well is how you're doing it. If truth be known, they're talking about learning level 01, the learning phase. Y'all not doing a good job. And then they want you to donate. You know what's so funny about this website? They use all of these stock photos from poor African children all over the world. Have y'all looked at this website? Once again, can't even predict anything realistic. I mean, we've had children who've gone through the home and who've come out okay on the right side. They could replace them at some of these stock photos. Okay, poor little African children pushing a cart, a bicycle. Some little man halfway around the world, probably starving to death. Who did this website? I mean, this does not even remotely look like anything going on in the Cayman Islands. They just grab, and I notice, I'm not going to play the race card here, but I notice all the poor little children look like they're straight out of Africa somewhere. This is what the children, this one goes with the transition phase. Excuse me here for being a little bit panicky, but these poor children have torn up clothes. They look like they're barely getting any food. Really? Y'all couldn't pick some better pictures than this? This is supposed to be the transition phase. This is representing doing better in life. Well, they don't look like they're any better off than me. Not than me, better off to me. Seriously? These children don't even look happy? No, sir. Y'all need to do better with this website. But, they hurry up and went and did that because we called them out for having a website that wasn't even working, that had non-working elements to the website. Y'all remember? And if you don't remember, I'll give you the link to go back and have a look. See it here? In this article back in 2019, we demonstrated that, look, the website had all this unfinished stuff down at the bottom. Categories, show all, category 1, category 2, an unfinished website. So I guess they were like, oh, geez, Sandra's embarrassing us again. Let's go take it down. And now we'll put up some fake looking pictures of children. Has nothing to do with Cayman. Doesn't even remotely look like the children here in any way, shape, or form. And racial misappropriation without a doubt. All right, let me see if I can figure out who's on the board. Hold on one second here. Oh, Lord Jehovah. Somebody said, which dummy did this website? I don't know. They probably paid some big time company to do it, believe it or not. Slackness once again. Probably paid a good penny for that. All right, here's who's on the board. And I don't think government has changed this board yet, but I would highly recommend they look into it. Garth Arch is the chairman. Karen Thompson, director. Jenny Manderson. Daryl Rankin. Dr. Marzuka. I need to call Dr. Marzuka today. What? He's on this board? And they were appointed in 2011. Now, two things could be going on here. It could be that they have not updated this page, which sometimes happens. Or is it really the case that in 10 years, the board hasn't changed? Because this is the last information we have on any board members. Last updated, is that August the 11th of 2011? No, it's October the 18th. Well, what kind of date is, so they, I guess they updated November the 8th of 2011. So anyway, they said these people were appointed on October the 18th of 2011, some 10 years ago. Wow. So either this page hasn't been updated in 10 years, or those are the same board members. Now I know Mr. Garth is still the chair. So again, that's 10 years ago. That's PPM, that's them. They put them in there. And they didn't do anything about it in 8 years that they were in. Disgusting. All right, folks, let's do a little bit of positivity on Friday. I know y'all are shocked. I see your comments. TP Parkinson says, seriously, they need a person like Miss Sylvia in there. Vanessa says, listen, let me go ahead and head out. Many Caymanians are easy to be fooled by anyone who smiles in their face. I see it all the time, especially if they make the Caymanians feel important. Then boom, in like Flynn. Yes, that's why they think we're simple, because some of us really are a little bit on the simplistic side with trusting people a little bit too much. Oh, you want to go to church with me? That means you must be a good person. Child, please. Church got the biggest devils up in there. Gabby says, people feel like it isn't my child, so it doesn't affect me. These children are all of our children. We should all do what it takes to protect them. Absolutely. It takes a village. And not only are they all our children, but they're going to be our problem when they get out there in the next couple of years and they can't function. Because guess what? They're going to be stealing from who? Me, you, and the rest of us. They're going to be out there doing drugs and getting into all sorts of issues, clogging up the system. Good morning to Remy. Deep Blue Sea says that they don't want a sex offenders registry, just like how they don't want to use the biometric scan at our ports. Remy's asking about lateral flow tests. Exclusively on CMR, folks, we can now tell you that 1 million of these lateral flow tests are en route to the Cayman Islands. Now, I haven't been able to get government to tell me when they're getting here, but here's what I'm going to do, because this is what we got to do, y'all. I'm going to post that up on the website to say 1 million are coming. Reliable sources have told me we have 1 million lateral flow tests on the way, courtesy of the Cayman Islands government. As soon as I put it up, the other media houses are going to be like, Well, how does Sandy know that? And we want more information. I've already asked for more information, but nobody's giving it to me. So you put up the little piece that you have, and then they'll put up a nice fancy press release. Remember how we talked about the communications arm yesterday? Then they'll react to that, and they'll put up a nice press release saying, oh, yes, it's coming. Here you go, Compass. Here you go, CNS. Here's the full story. Remy, soon come. Miss Iva says, boy, you can hear some shit when they get caught about they're not in their right minds. Oh, I would put him in his right mind, all right. He knows right from wrong. I don't want to hear nothing about he got issues right now, okay? Because he's messing up a young lady's life. And you're right about that. You can hear some foolishness when people are ready. Right mind, he would get right mind, all right. Yes, a lot of them don't want the sex offenders registry because there'd be some very interesting people on it. Some of y'all aunts and uncles and brothers are some of the biggest sexual offenders right here in the Cayman Islands. Miss Rovina says, believe it or not, believe it. Believe if that was my child, when I see I'd push one bottle. Oh my goodness, Miss Rovina. We'll summarize it, as you say in this next statement. They need to do better. Yes. So last night, folks, hi, Daisy. I had the pleasure of going to this event at Miss Lassie's home. It was a beautiful event. I actually have my little book here somewhere from it, but it's an actual exhibition of her work that has been put on by the Cayman Islands Cayman National Cultural Foundation. And they actually have this Mind's Eye Education Center. I'm going to show you guys this. You can go to the CNCF website, artscayman.org. And essentially this, let me just screen grab this and then I can show it to you guys. This is a exhibit of some of her work. Now, as you guys know, that the story of Miss Lassie is so incredibly interesting. Apparently, she started painting at like age 64. And if you ever thought in life, oh, I'm too old to do this, that, or whatever, once you find your inspiration, Miss Lassie is a perfect example of someone who can just get it done. So fourth generation Caymanian, Gladwin K. Lassie Bush began painting at the age of 62 after what she describes as a visionary experience. A lot of her paintings have strong Christian themes, and she was painting not only in canvas, but she was painting on the walls, the windows, and furnishings of her home. She was awarded a National Honor Member of the British Empire in 1997 and received the award during the Queen's birthday celebration in Grand Cayman on June the 15th of 1998. She's also a recipient of the Cayman's National Cultural Foundation's Heritage Award. There is a book that documents her work, a 156-page art book called My Markings, The Art of Gladwin K. Bush, and it was published by the CNCF. Folks, this exhibit is on. Please go and have a look at it. I think they said they're going to do virtual tours and stuff as well. Her work is in a private collection in England, the United States, Jamaica, South Africa, Germany, and the Cayman Islands, and the collection of the American Visionary Arts Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. She passed away in 2003 at the age of 89. Now, what I discovered last night in terms of her own personal history, this is the Gladwin K. Bush retrospective, Miss Lassie, My Art is My Life. And again, it's being presented by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. One of the most amazing things is that she actually endured a lot in her life. And so, her paintings make sense. Like a lot of times I will see like three figures in her paintings. And I understand that she actually lost her three brothers in very tragic situations out to sea. Desia says that she checked the website last night. What a tragic vision. Also an updated list of the board members on the website. So Miss Lassie is a Caymanian artist who started late in life, but she was so moved by whatever this visionary experience was that she had, that as that piece shared, she wanted to paint on everything. Like, she basically could not stop painting. And I think that that's amazing. So listen, we've got almost 300 of you still here. Do not log off, because you really want to see, what Miss Lassie has been up to. They had this event last night, which was kind of the opening ceremony for this exhibition. Please go and visit the expedition. The cultural Minister of Culture, that's Mr. Bernie Bush's ministry, has put on this. They've co-sponsored this event at the Mind's Eye Education Center. And again, this is at her home, which is right there at the intersection of Walkers and South Sand Road. So this was one time when the government stepped up and said, when her son indicated he was going to sell the property, CNCF was able to convince the government not to allow this property to go into the hands of what would have been another condo developer, and instead to purchase the property as a national, I don't know if it's an official national site, but I feel like it is. And so it's there. And they have her original windows and storage, and they have redone like some of the windows and so forth in the manner in which she was painting it. So it's an absolutely wonderful exhibition. I want to share with you the experiences and interviews from last night. This will take up the remainder of the program. And then I've actually got an interview with the governor today, folks. So I want to make sure that you guys tune in for that. I'm going to interview him early in the day, but I will play it into the evening hours, probably like around 8:30. So make sure you tune into that. If you have any questions related to COVID and the COVID situation here in the Cayman Islands that you'd like to ask the governor, this is your opportunity. Send them through to me. You can send it on the WhatsApp 324-1612. That's probably the best way to get those questions to me. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys to enjoy this piece now from the exhibition opening last night. It was a beautiful event. Thank you to the ministry, the minister, obviously the government, the CNCF, their board of directors, all of the people. Kelly Holdings, I think, helped to organize the event. All the people that made this an absolutely wonderful event to attend last night. And I quite enjoyed myself, and I enjoyed being able to see, all of her work. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. And please stay safe. I hope we don't have any accidents over the weekend. Every weekend, it's like the same thing. And enjoy this presentation.
shadows begin to fall. Summertime is then approaching. We would hear our mother call. Come and wash your hands and knees, and mend yourselves, and say your prayers, and lay you down to sleep. It sounds funny, I want my money, the money you borrowed last week. Why don't you pay it and do not delay it and make it a lesson to me? Why don't you pay it and do not delay it and make that a lesson to me? You have to wait till my ship comes in, my ship comes in, my ship comes in. You have to wait till my ship comes in, and then I'll have money to spend. It sounds funny, I want my money, the money you borrowed last May. Why don't you pay it and do not delay it and make it a lesson to me? Why don't you pay it and do not delay it and make that a lesson to me? Why don't you pay it and do not delay it and make that a lesson to me? The one that I love, and in your being, I'll have love to shine down tonight. Oh, came and moon. Oh, came and moon. Shine out tonight. Wrapped in a blue. In your head of light. And in your being, you make worlds smooth. Shine out tonight. Oh, came and moon. And the skies above with you keep shining, shining tonight. On the one that I love, and in your being, I'll have love to shine out tonight. Oh, came and moon. Oh, came and
So the last two songs were composed by Aunt Julia Hines and Mr. Dalman Evans. We hope you enjoyed. These are the Cayman Islands Folk Singers, a group formed by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation in 2009. Thank you very much for spending time with us this evening. Honorable Chris Saunders, Acting Premier. Honorable Bernie Bush, Minister of Home Affairs, Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Family of Miss Lassie. Honorable members and ministers of cabinet. members of the House of Parliament, Ms. Teresa Echeniki, Chief Officer for the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Chief Officers and Deputy Chief Officers, Mr. Martin Gold, Chairman of the National Cultural Foundation, members of the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, Mr. Henry Mutu, CNCF Artistic Director and Exhibition Curator, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are in a place where dreams are made into canvases. Dreams become realized through the creative spirit of a lady whose family lived in this spot in South Sound for well over 100 years. We welcome you all to this space that we hope inspires you, that we hope inspires future generations to go beyond any criticisms that people may have of them or any lack of resources and follow your passion. Of course, we would like to know that all artists are fully resourced, but that's not always possible. So don't let it hold you back, because the story you tell is an important story for the Cayman Islands to hear and to treasure. Gladwin Bush, Miss Lassie, is a unique example of someone who held within her both the heritage and the arts of the Cayman Islands, and she combined those into expressive paintings, some of which you'll see tonight. And we hope that you will encourage your friends and family to come and see the exhibition and see the larger one, which we are planning to have at the Hartwell Theatre in 2022. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank wholeheartedly the Ministry of Culture and Heritage for the support that they've given to this particular exhibition and this initiative. We couldn't have done it without you, and we thank you so much for ensuring that this happened here tonight. So I am going to take this opportunity now to invite the chairman of the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, Mr. Martin Gold, to come up and give remarks.
As you can see, I don't have any script, but I can tell you with passion. Okay? I can tell you with passion that Miss Lassie, if she was standing here, would greet and welcome all of you with the depth of Caymanian heritage culture, which includes, as we all know, our way of life, our way of worship, our way of doing things, and the things that we need to protect. And so it is just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to stand here in this place that is so much part of our heritage, that through the work both of the Cultural Foundation and the support of the ministry, we've been able to preserve. As you can hear the sea behind you, as you can see all of the wonderful things that make Cayman, Cayman, as you can see from the different families that are represented here that have been part of the South Sound tradition. That is what we need to preserve. I just spent the last 3 days in America's Cultural Summit listening to all of the things that have been lost in so many countries throughout the Americas. And I feel that it's always useful for us to learn from different jurisdictions, to hear what they have to say, to see how they're going to deal with what they have to deal with. And so we can make Cayman better, so we can make sure that we preserve this paradise that we have here in Cayman. So it's all part of being able to understand what makes our heritage, what makes our culture, what is important to us. And when Richard, Miss Lassie's son, said, we're going to sell this property, we went to the government and we said, that can't happen. And each of the ministries came together and said, no, it won't happen. We can find a little bit of our budget. We can make sure it's not sold to a third party. It doesn't become this huge, excuse me, because my great friend John Doakes here, but this awful architecture, not that he does that, but this awful architecture we see up and down South Sound. This is protected for future generations, for us to understand what makes Cayman Cayman, for us to see this artwork that this crazy lady at the end of Walker's Road that put the conch shells up and said, don't step on my yard. This place where schooners were built, schooners were launched. These are the things that we have to preserve. And even though I wasn't born here, I hope I can, when I depart this place, I can say I did my little bit to try and make it happen. And Minister Bush, I congratulate you because you've been a wonderful minister of culture already. Very active minister. And most importantly, I really need to thank Henry and Marcia. You know, as a quantity surveyor, how you suddenly become so involved in culture. And it's because of the passion of people like Henry and Marcia. They have carried us on a journey in which, as Dave Martin said, you can find Caymanian culture, but you have to go behind a breadfruit tree and look for it. Mm-hmm. You take 35 years ago when we started the Cultural Foundation to see where we were 35 years ago and where we are today. And we're going to continue to build on that. We are a community and a society that is going to grow. We're going to have, I think, perhaps less Caymanians and more people from the outside because people want to come and live in this paradise. But we have to protect heritage and culture, and that's what the Cayman National Cultural Foundation is here to do. So thank you all for coming.
So the exhibition has been curated by the CNCF Artistic Director, Henry Motu, and I'd like to invite him now to come and say a few words to us about the exhibition and about Miss Lassie.
Thank you, Martin, for your kind words. Protocol having been established. I listen to Marcia and I listen to Martin, and their voices are so calm. And I'm not usually very calm because I'm passionate about everything that I do, particularly about the Cayman Islands and its arts and culture, particularly about the Caribbean and its arts and its culture, and also cultures from all over the world. I don't think there are many people in the audience here that have read all of Shakespeare's plays and studied them. So please bear with me as I bring these few words to you. Caymanians, artists, friends, I come to praise Miss Lassie, not to bury her. Those who are familiar with literature will understand the allusion. Gladwin Costing Bush, Miss Lassie, a diminutive, deceptively insignificant-looking Caymanian woman with a heritage dating back to the 18th century and a life of psychological trauma interrupted by moments of deep introspection and shining illumination, created more than 250 paintings. Most of these masterworks are held in trust by CNCF for the people of the Cayman Islands. They are held as an embodiment of Caymanian heritage to keep alive the memory of the artist as a national cultural treasure, and to educate, promote, develop, and research the subject of Caymanian art. They will long remain the most important visual statement by a Caymanian on what it is to be of an unquestioning faith, free and independent in thought, word, and deed. When in the latter half of the 1970s, Miss Lassie started going at her windows, doors, and the discarded fridge in her yard, locals pronounced her crazy. By her own admission, even her sister, Myra, thought she was off her head. Few knew the pain she suffered over a long lifetime, purchasing and placing gravestones on empty squares of sand in the family plot in the South Sound Cemetery, to honor the memory of her 3 brothers lost at sea, and another who died of a heart attack in New York. Few knew that she nursed her husband and all of her other siblings and gave them a dignified burial when they passed on. Indeed, Miss Lassie nursed and kept company with so many relatives and elders who passed on in her presence that she once told me when I asked her about living alone with the memory of death. She said, "Henry, I have closed too many eyes. I have no fear of death." And she didn't. She was a poet, and she played at least 3 musical instruments, and she composed songs, as you heard earlier. To know Miss Lassie's story is to sprint into the brazier of burning memory, emitting swirls of creative energy that arrested her brush to give physical shape to her dreams and visions. Caymanians must treasure the memory of Miss Lassie and zealously guard her legacy. While most of us paid no serious attention to Miss Lassie and her creative output, a handful of others, including residents and visitors, befriended her and genuinely admired her markings on pillows, cushions, jugs, glass panels, car windscreens, and windows. They encouraged her to use other, more accepted services and gifted her stretched canvases, canvas boards, and other tubes of art paints. This period marked a prolific 20-year frenzy of work, out of which emerged approximately 200 easel paintings. Today, through the benediction of a singular vision, the National Cultural Foundation, with invaluable financial and in-kind assistance from many individuals, corporations, and governments since 1993, we, the people of the Cayman Islands, own 140 paintings by this indomitable, visionary, intuitive patriot, who transformed her dreams and visions, her fears and doubts, her joys and sorrows, her heritage and culture into visual stories that collectively hum the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. My Art is My Life is intended to bring Miss Lassie closer to the center of our spiritual being, where she rightfully belongs. Rebecca Hofberger, the founding director of the American Visionary Art Museum, someone I am honored to call friend, is one of the foremost world authorities on visionary art. At the time of writing my markings, I invited her on behalf of CNCF to visit Cayman to meet an artist I felt she would love. She came, fell in love with Miss Lassie, and returned for the second major exhibition. When CNCF applied to the World Monument Fund to have Miss Lassie's house placed on the 2012 watch list of endangered heritage properties, Rebecca wholeheartedly supported our cause. Later, when I asked for her support to help us use the leverage the WMF had created for us to fundraise, she wrote the following, quote, "There are only a handful of such artists whose spirits are so deeply interwoven with their homelands. Miss Lassie is your great treasure, and one that can give back honor and respect to Caymanian heritage in a way that enchants visitors and native Caymanians for many generations to come. This property, Miss Lassie's story, and her paintings are gifts of collective cultural memory, which we have all but lost. If we are smart, and if we have any love and respect for ourselves as Caymanians, they must remain inviolable. They must remain as sanctified as the day Miss Lassie's father planted the first ironwood post, as sanctified as the day almost 18 years ago when Miss Lassie was called home. Thank you very much.
Our Minister of Home Affairs, Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Honorable Bernie Bush, to bring remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say a special thank you to the Minister for Health, Honorable Sabrina Turner, the Minister for Tourism, Honorable Kenneth Bryan, for running out from things that they're also having to come here for this event. And also, we have a governor who has missed nothing culturally that we have had. We see a governor who's come here, and I hear Steve and those people talk about a governor way back that fired Truman, Bodden's father, because he didn't want to mix with some of the poor people. And the way that we looked at that governor, I hope that the day Mr. Roper leaves here, we can look at you that way as one of us, sir. Thank you for taking our culture so serious. Thank you. I can say this much to Ms. Marcia. I also have a parliamentary secretary who is fanatical about culture and heritage, Mr. Isaac Rankin, and he is in the ministry with us. And then one of the folk singers is my chief officer. So once there again, I have no choice. Even though anyone who knows me that I'm very Caymanian, and I make no apologies for it, but I have these people around me that surround me that keep me going in the right direction and trying to make me look good. But Mr. Henry, I got some bad news for you. We were standing in the back and someone said, your two daughters are very beautiful. That's Marcia and your daughter, so I'm sorry about that. So Marcia, that's your sister, your daughter's your sister tonight, all right? Good evening and welcome. Protocol having been established, it gives me great pleasure to have been invited by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation to bring remarks on this impressive and incredible occasion, the Miss Lassie exhibition. And ladies and gentlemen, when I go to any art gallery, the type of art, the one that I always complain about, what's it called again? When you have the abstract, I tell them, don't show me the abstract. I have enough problems thinking for myself, having to think what the artist was trying to say. But when Mr. Henry, when myself and Mr. Bowl and Mr. Henry and the chief officer opened the 3 pieces of art that was sent back from England and donated back to us, Mr. Henry proceeded to explain some of Miss Lassie's and how I started to understand the interpretation, and all of a sudden I was deeply in love with it. Thanks, Mr. Henry, I really appreciated that, because I wish everybody could get you one-on-one to go through those little pieces to understand what her art was all about. It is something amazing that to think that someone who has no previous training, never went to school for it, never had a book to read, to learn art, did this stuff, and to see what she saw in her mind and how she put it on wood, canvas, or anything that she could paint on is awesome. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage is proud to be partnering with the CNCF in this first major retrospective of Miss Lassie's work in 18 years. As a champion for our diverse culture and heritage, the ministry is working diligently to ensure partnerships with those entities whose mission is to support initiatives that showcase Caymanian creativity and our culture. As a result, we would also invite the private sector to join and support us on this important task and journey. Here in Miss Lassie's Sanyard, with her Wattle and Dobb House and the Mind's Eye Education Center, we are at the very epicenter of where the artist created her dynamic works, which are some of the brightest and the best examples of Caymanian art. This show called My Work is My Life officially opens tomorrow, the 5th of November, and runs until the 13th of November. After this showing, copies of the originals will then begin a tour through the districts and came back. We have made the decision, we're going to take it to our people. Out of more than 130 original artworks of Cayman's own visionary and artist, which is owned by the CNCF, 40 will be displayed in the exhibition, shown in the Mind's Eye Education Center. This show has been masterfully curated by the CNCF Artistic Director and Miss Lassie expert, Henry Mutu. The show broadly encompasses the major themes of Miss Lassie's work. A national treasure who left a permanent imprint on Caymanian culture, Miss Lassie's paintings have garnered much deserved recognition both here at home and abroad. Her works have not only formed part of the UNESCO-supported traveling exhibition of contemporary Caribbean art in '93, but they are also in private collections as far as South Africa and Europe. Gladwin K. Lassie Bush was 62 years old when she first put paintbrush to canvas. The brilliance and expertise of this prolific storyteller of distinctly Caymanian themes and her intensely vivid religious life makes this show a must-see exhibition. A cultural icon, Miss Lassie received national recognition in 1997 when she was made a member of the British Empire. She was also a recipient of the CNCF's Heritage Award. Her powerful and inspirational work is a bridge to our shared past. So it is with much immense pride that I give you My Work is My Life. Thank you for your support, and we invite you to enjoy this exhibit. Please encourage your family and friends to come out and view this special showing. In addition, I am so pleased that we will also have the option of virtual tours available to accommodate our schools, large crowds, and those that are not physically able to visit in person. And to my friend, Mr. Michael Holding, thanks for coming out to support me. Thank you again, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bernie Bush. So, this is where we start. Again, we start with, I'm going to invite you to come through on this side, through that door, and into the exhibition, and enjoy. Henry's gesturing to me. Well, we'll let Mr. Minister, but please allow the ministers and officials to go first. I think some of them have carved out a little bit of time for us tonight and may not be able to stay very long, but we would be happy for them to take a quick run through if you can at all. And of course, the Governor and Deputy Governor. Just one last thank you to all of you for coming out tonight, to the Ministry, and to Kelly Holding for helping us organize this, and to all of the people who have supported this particular endeavor. Thank you so much.
Mr. Saunders. How are you?
I am fine, Miss Sandy.
So good to see you. First of all, this is a beautiful, I've only seen a few paintings so far, but absolutely beautiful exhibition. What are your thoughts on what you've been able to see this evening?
Oh, no, this just confirms, I mean, just the talent, and I love the turnout. It's really good. I mean, Miss Lassie is an icon within itself. And to see this level of support, and well done to the minister, well done to the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. Mr. Henry and his wife have done an excellent job, so it's really good to see this much coming out, and I'm so happy some of my other colleagues left other engagements to come here to join with Mr. Bush. So it's actually pretty good. I'm glad you came. I'm glad to see you here too.
Yes, thank you so much.
Most very
All right,
welcome.
folks, so Acting Premier, Mr. Christopher Saunders, is here this evening supporting Minister Bush for this wonderful cultural event being put on by the CNCF. Thank you.
Most very welcome. Have a good night. Have fun, folks.
Thank you very much. Beautiful artwork here. This seems to have a very religious theme. So all of these on this side basically are Adam and Eve theme pieces. So we have one here. This is Adam and Eve in the garden. Some quotes from the Bible. There's that one from Genesis 1:26-28. Absolutely beautiful. We'll see if we can speak to Mr. Matou here in a second as well. She was a very prolific artist, that's for sure. It's amazing to think that she started at the age of 64, and it's like her inspiration certainly did not stop once she began. So absolutely gorgeous. All right, so good evening to Mr. Henry Matou. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to you this evening to be able to put on this wonderful event over the next couple of weeks, just showcasing some of her work?
It's really very hard to describe. I know that Miss Lassie have always said to me that she didn't think anything of her work. She said, I just see it in my mind and I painted it. But I don't think that intuitive painters don't understand what it is they're actually doing, in the sense that what I mean by they don't understand is not that they have an understanding of life. And when they start to put paint down on canvas or marks or whatever, she called it my markings. It was really about her life and how difficult the life she had. And she had a very bad temper. And she knew that she didn't want to die without God, Jesus, whoever you want, accepting her, right? And even if you don't believe, even if there are people who don't believe in that, if you think that all of these things, when she, remember, this is a woman who had 3 brothers who were drowned at sea. Now think in the 1930s, 40s, right? You get a call. We have a telegram for you. You send your daughter down to the dock, collect the letter, and it said simply, sorry to tell you that your son has been lost on the hustler, or whatever it is. No closure, no body to bury. So what she did, that pain, how do you go through that? And not just 1, 3. And then she had members of the family that were shell-shocked during the war. And she looked after everybody. And she was a sick nurse, what we call a sick nurse, that she sat with people who were on their last, and she closed their eyes. And when you've seen death that close up, and you don't fear it anymore. And all the things that all these paintings are about not just recording the Bible in pictures, but they're about saying, God help me. There's some over there, for example, right? When you see things like He leadeth me, this painting, that's on her gravestone.
Right.
What we had that made across here. If you want to come over here, you can see it. So, you see this here? You know, she said to me, this is how I imagine going. When I passed away, that Jesus would take my hand. And she's got several poems about Jesus taking her hand and leading her to salvation. You know, like this one, thy faith hath made thee whole. Now if you come back to this one, you see, like if something would happen here and she would say, you know, you're praying, you know, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. You could imagine somebody, God help me, right? And then she comes here. And then, you know, she had one eye that was not working very well. She had cataract. You know, Lord, that I may receive my sight. Now, these are all biblical verses. Right. But the thing is that it was not that she was just painting about the Bible. She was asking God to help her. Take up thy bed and walk, right? So God said, okay, I'm going to help you. And then he says to her, because faith was so important to her, he says, thy faith hath made thee whole. Right? So that gives her the rest that she needed. Whether it is in her head or not, it's the rest. And then she, okay, so now he's leading her. He needed me. Then you come this. And this is when she's admonishing, actually. Right, when she says, right, Jesus, if thou hadst been there, my brother would not have died. Now she had several brothers who died. So it is, again, it is not just, and the book will tell all of this. It is not just her saying, okay, I read the Bible, I see this, okay, I want to paint this. You know, it was something.
It was a personal experience.
Yes, personal experience. And even here, you know, like, this is the when she was tempted. Many times people tempt her. She cursed them, she threw things at them, she put signs up in her yard. Get thee behind me, Satan. You know, leave me alone. And then this is when, now this is Christ when he's in the garden in the Gethsemane. He's kneeling, right? And he's sweating blood. You know, when he's being betrayed. And a lot of people probably would have betrayed her. You know what I mean? And then this one, as he appeared, you see the angel of the Lord appearing. Yes. But then this one is now an angel of the Lord appeared. So you see these three. Right? Yes. Then you see Calvary. Nobody has ever painted a Calvary that's so happy. I mean, look at the colors, you know. Look at the smile on Jesus' face. You know, I mean, that's the kind of thing, you know, everybody's worshiping them on the cross. Then this is when they roll the stone away after he's buried. And then he showed the disciples, you know, look, it's me. This is my hand and my side. Right. And then the final one, Jesus is coming again. Because she believed that. Yes. She talks about seeing Jesus coming down in the yard, in her yard. So these paintings are, I mean, I couldn't be more happy to be able to be given an opportunity and to be around long enough to do this for her. Because I've always told her, you need to be not just an ordinary person, you're not ordinary. And we have to understand, because the Caymanian culture and heritage, you don't need to go further than this. Of course, there are many other people doing terrific things, but you can start here and you can't go wrong. Yes. And I'm hoping that with this gallery that we've put together now, that after this exhibition closes, we'll be able to put another 36 paintings. Beautiful. And we will take 3 exhibitions to complete the cycle. Then we have our windows to show, which we have preserved. Oh, wow. But the copies are on the house now, but the originals are being preserved. Okay. They don't look as good as the ones out there because they got weathered by the time we got to the house. Beautiful. But you know, she must be smiling if you can see us now. She's.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, folks, good evening. We have an opportunity to speak with Minister Bush just for a few minutes. This was such a beautiful evening tonight, Bernie. Absolutely gorgeous. I enjoyed all of the paintings that I saw. What was your impression when you got to go inside and actually look at her artwork? I mean, Miss Lassie was just amazing.
It's amazing, and the way the CNCF has the house fixed up and how they have it, it's awesome. And I do hope that the public will take time out to come and see part of our history and our culture. It's something to see. I am quite honored to be the Minister for Culture and Heritage, and I do hope that in my time here that I'll be able to enhance it, what we have, and make sure the public gets to know what it's all about, and to especially make sure we start to get it to our young ones to make them love and appreciate what we have.
Absolutely. And you know, we heard Mr. Henry talk about the importance of culture.
Correct.
And really embracing that. And even Mr. Gould talked about, you know, from his perspective, having been an adopted Caymanian, how important it is for every country around the world to try to preserve its culture. What more can we be expecting from your ministry in the coming months and the coming years ahead?
We're trying to think outside the box.
Yes.
We're going to do everything possible and within our budget. We want people to not like what Mr. Matu did with myself.
Yes.
He educated me on what it was. You see the paintings and you say, okay, it's that. But then when you understand the meanings, that every painting has something that she went through personal in her life.
Right.
So I do hope to, like I said, we want to take it to the younger generation to make them start to have a feeling and knowledge of our culture and our heritage. And this is why when we had our symposium the other day, is Cayman Culture Lost. Yeah. And these are some of the ways to making sure that it doesn't die.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Minister.
And thank you for coming out.
It was a wonderful evening. Thank you, my dear.
Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, conk knock on no bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, conk knock on no bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, conk knock on no bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, conk knock on no bone. Conk knock on no bone. Jemima, conk knock on no bone. Conk knock on no bone. Jemima, conk knock on no bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, barracuda sweet. 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 Barracuda sweet. Jemima, barracuda sweet. Barracuda sweet. Jemima, barracuda sweet. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, come knock on her bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, come knock on her bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, come knock on her bone. Aunt Jemima, go tell your mama, come knock on her bone. Come knock on her bone. Jemima, come knock on her bone. Come knock on her bone. Jemima, come knock on her bone. Come knock on her bone. Jemima, come knock on her bone. Come knock on her bone. Jemima, come knock on her bone.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do. 7 long years I wore a plaid frock. 7 long years I wore a plaid frock.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do. 7 long years I cook up corn stew. 7 long years I cook up corn stew.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do.
Heidi, Heidi, do you love me?
Yes, John, I do. 7 long years I waited on you. 7 long years you turned me your shoe.
Heidi, Patty, do you love me?
Yes, Johnny, I do.
Come.
Sharpen your knife, come sharpen your knife, come sharpen your butcher knife.
We think
This was on a Saturday night, boys, just about 6 o'clock. Dan up with a rock and he hit the cow. And he knocked her down in the road. Sharpen your butcher knife, boys, sharpen your butcher
butcher knife. Cause beef in can't be, sharpen your butcher knife.
5 of us was going up there when we saw that big old lie. We went over there, nothing could be seen but Whitmore with a butcher knife. The cow wasn't really dead, but Whitmore he went ahead. The first thing he did was cut off the head and cut the throat with a knife.
Sharpen your butcher knife, boys, sharpen